I have been playing Monster Hunter Frontier for a while now, and I want to talk about what I think makes the game great, what I think the problems are, give some background about the game, and talk about what a future Monster Hunter MMO could be like. So I'll start from the beginning with the reason I even had interest in Monster Hunter Frontier, because all Monster Hunter Frontier online services ended December 18th, 2019, which is pretty recent, but I didn't even know that Frontier existed because Monster Hunter World released in 2018, and World was my first introduction to the franchise, and the Iceborne expansion for World released September 6th, 2019, the same year that Frontier stopped receiving support, which is crazy to think about because Monster Hunter Frontier was released in 2007 for Windows, and then in 2010 on Xbox 360. The problem, though, is that it was never released in the West, which, if it was, chances are I would have played it, but it received support right up until just shortly after Iceborne released, which I think makes sense. If you look at the technological advancements that have been made, I think it's entirely reasonable for them to stop with its graphics and controls being so outdated. What made me take an interest in Frontier was a video made by SuperRad called The Complete History of Monster Hunter Frontier, and it looked really cool. I thought the monsters and the combat were interesting, but having found out that the game was dead, I just kind of left it at that, and it was only when I bought a Switch to play Rise that I also picked up Generations Ultimate, which gave me a taste for how the older games functioned in terms of combat and other gameplay features like needing tools to mine, fish, and catch bugs, the importance of preparation, and while there were things I didn't like, I found it to be, for the most part, an enjoyable experience. Now, eventually I tried to figure out how to set up Frontier, but I didn't really understand what I was doing and gave up. And it's only recently that, knowing what I know now, was able to set it up with the help of a guide. It can be hard to find information about how to set up Frontier if you don't know where to look. There aren't really any good videos on YouTube about the process because they've all been taken down, so it's something you'll have to research yourself if you're interested in playing. I would highly recommend playing Frontier, and I would say do whatever it takes to get to G rank because that's where the game changes. One of the core features that Frontier has is different weapon styles, similar to what Monster Hunter Rise has. In fact, there are a lot of things in Rise that resemble things in Frontier. Obviously, you've got the Frontier monster Espionage, but also the separate styles in both games. Rise, it's not really divided into separate styles necessarily, but you have the option of selecting different movesets, and these can drastically change how the weapon functions, like with Greatsword and Longsword. Generations also had styles, but was released long after Frontier, and Frontier has 4 different styles: Earth, Heaven, Storm, and Extreme. The first 3 aren't all that interesting, but Extreme style, which you unlock by getting to G rank, is a game changer. I can really only speak for Longsword because it's all I've used so far in Frontier, but it's sort of a combination of all 3 styles, but it gives you the ability to run with your weapon out, and also gives you access to moves that the other styles don't have. For instance, Longsword has a parry that allows you to do a follow-up attack if you use it successfully, and also gives you access to another move that requires you to build up a second gauge, and it functions kind of like an ultimate attack or a wirebug skill in Monster Hunter Rise. Something really important to mention is that because Frontier was an MMO, it's really grindy, and upgrading armor requires monster materials and materials from just out in the field. And since Frontier isn't fully translated, on top of there not being any really comprehensive guides, it's very easy to feel stuck at certain points, and I would recommend just cheating in the materials for upgrading when you get to HR6 and are trying to break through to G rank, simply because the monsters you need to fight in the key quests hit hard even with fully maxed out high rank armor. Fully maxed out for the level you're at anyway because I upgraded my armor and weapon up until it required G rank materials, and each fight in HR6 lasted 20 minutes, and I still died very easily. Even with the Hawkpot effect, which is basically a permanent divine blessing, it increases your damage reduction by 70% for the entire duration of the hunt, and stays active even if you faint. Now, that's just my recommendation if you don't want to be stuck grinding, because it can easily become tedious and boring given how long it takes to upgrade one piece of armor just once. Now, what really makes Frontier great is its monsters, and I think the reason is because the developers weren't constrained by the attempt to have the monsters feel believable. It's like they thought of something that would be really cool and just put it into the game. So there's a lot of extremely unique looking and behaving monsters. Some of my favorites are actually the duo monster fights. So one of the quests puts you up against two apes. They share the same skeleton as Rajang and have similar moves, but they also have combined attacks, and it makes for a very interesting and unique fight that doesn't exist in World or Rise. And you can easily compare the fights to the fight with Celtis and Celtis Queen because they are together at the same time. Another thing that makes the game great is the overall style of the game. The weapons and armor look great, the weapon attack animations are cool to look at and feel satisfying to use, and there's a lot of layered armor. Now, a lot of it is behind a paywall, or used to be, obviously, with there being no way to pay. The only way to get them is by cheating in materials, which is worth it because there's armor from Attack on Titan and other anime, as well as armor from other games. There's a Rappy helmet from Phantasy Star Online, and there's even 2B from Nier Automata, so there's a lot of really cool armor. Some of the problems with Frontier is obviously the language, with most of it still being in Japanese, and not understanding it, you miss out on a lot of information. All the stuff that's critical for you to progress is translated, but with the game having 12 years worth of content, obviously there's a lot that hasn't been translated, and also a few features that aren't working. Also, since Frontier is an MMO, it's balanced around having 4 players. That has been adjusted, so it's not really a problem. Another issue is that you have to host your own server or join someone else's, and if you want to play with other people, then it's somewhat of a complicated issue, and if you join another server, you have to start a new character, basically. Really, the only problems I've had in Frontier are a lack of direction at times, poor drop rates for materials, and the amount of materials needed for upgrades. Another complaint would be that there are a lot of systems in the game that aren't explained well or at all, with the translations not being finished, and that can be kind of frustrating. And I know that most of these complaints don't necessarily have much to do with the actual game itself, but really, I'm just enjoying the game. Obviously, the drop rates and how much materials you need is a complaint about the core part of the game, but besides that, I don't really have much complaint. Now, obviously, with Frontier being dead, it got me thinking about what it would have been like to play at a time with, an active player base, and then about what a modern Monster Hunter MMO could look like. And I really do think it would be a perfect genre for the series. Now, obviously, the zones would probably have to be more like the areas in Rise, rather than the large and somewhat complex areas of World. Frontier has a lot of different maps that I would love to see revised into seamless locales. I think that having a very large hub area where you could see an incredibly large number of hunters hanging out, or even a bar like in Frontier, would be really cool. Being able to just be in a lobby with other people and go up to them and invite them on a hunt would be really great, rather than the matchmaking system that Rise or World has. I'm not saying to completely get rid of it though. I think for people who don't necessarily want to interact with other players, there should be a matchmaking system like in Rise, where you select a quest you want to do, and it searches for a group of people who are queued up for it. I think that they could also do really cool sieges with a higher player limit, so maybe 4 players to 8, and the monsters should be extremely massive, like Dalamadura, the giant snake, Shengaoren, and Lao Shanlong aren't really interesting fights, so they'd have to be adjusted to make them a bit more interesting, but the monsters should be on par with monsters like Safi'jiiva and Zora Magdaros in terms of size, or even bigger. I think that the combat would have to be as fast-paced as the combat in Rise, maybe just a little toned down, but also give you more options to customize the way weapons play. I think being able to run with your weapons out should be available for all the weapons and styles, but you could make it a bit more stamina intensive, so there's a little bit of a trade-off for using it. Also, it would perfectly fit their business model of selling layered weapons and armor. You could get some collaboration thing going where you can earn a layered armor set from actually playing the game without spending any money, but also have some be locked behind a paywall. obviously. I think being able to use layered armor should be unlocked immediately. Being able to bring NPCs along on hunts with you should also be brought forward. And I like the idea of there being NPCs that are wearing really cool armor to motivate you to get further in the game, or even some who wear paid layered armor so you can see an in-game version and decide if you like the way it looks or not. I would absolutely love a Monster Hunter MMO. And I think with how much the franchise has grown in popularity, I think it could be more successful than Monster Hunter World. It would just need a much bigger team behind it and more monsters than World and Rise at launch. And a slow drip feed of new content until they could release the first expansion. So pretty much what they already did with Rise and World, and I think it would be probably one of the best games to release that year, if not the best game, certainly the best MMO. But anyways, that's pretty much all that I wanted to say.